Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, A Monk in Cloud. In this video, we are going to see how to build a scalable media storage solution with AWS EFS and EC2 instances. So basically, this was the question that was asked to one of our subscribers who were interviewing for AWS Solutions Architect, and this is the question and it is how it goes. A media production firm requires a centralized, scalable storage solution that can be accessed by multiple EC2 instances deployed across different availability zones. The company handles large volumes of video files and other media assets that needs to be shared efficiently among several production teams. Their infrastructure demands high availability, seamless scalability, and top-tier performance along with secure data transmission between servers. So you need to make a note of this one. It demands high availability, seamless scalability, top-tier performance, and secure data transmission. That is really important. So to address these challenges, the company adopts AWS EFS. EFS offers a fully managed, elastic, and highly available shared file system, which with multiple EC2 instances can access simultaneously, and this allows the teams to collaborate seamlessly and work on shared asset without storage bottleneck. So this is how the architecture actually looks. If you see here, we have a shared EFS file system, and this is mount to both of the EC2 instances present in different availability zones, and whatever the files that are present in this EFS will be accessed by both EC2 instances in different availability zones. So we are going to build this and we are going to demonstrate in this particular video. So to do that, let's go ahead and launch EC2 instances in multiple availability zones. And before that, what we can do is for this particular demonstration, let's stick to AWS CLI commands rather than just going with the clicking and then creating everything. So let's go ahead and first create a security group, because we will need the security group to define a security group to keep things safe, right? So this is the command to create the security group. AWS EC2 create security group -- group name. I'm naming it as Storage Labs, and the description SG for EFS storage. So let's just copy this one, and I've documented all the required commands and things on blogs.h1lm.in. You can go ahead and check it out, and I'll also make sure to provide the link to this in the description box below. So let's just copy this one. Let's go to AWS console. So what I'll do is I'll just open Cloud Shell here. So if you see here AWS Cloud Shell, you just have to click on this and it will open a shell for you in the browser itself, and we can interact with AWS resources using this Cloud Shell, right? So we don't have to install anything. So this is one good way of doing things on cloud, right? So let me just expand this a bit. So I'll just paste the command that I just copied and I'll hit enter, and you should be seeing create security group already exists. So let's just go ahead and delete that first. So I think I actually performed some activity before recording this video, so maybe that's the reason why it's still there. So let's go ahead and delete that, and then we'll recreate it. Okay, so I'll just close it here, and if you see here Storage Labs is here. Let me just delete this one. I'll delete security group. Okay, that's done. So let's go to the console again. So I'll just control, let's see. Okay, now let's run the same command. I'll just first let me come out of this shell and clear the screen for you so that you don't miss out on anything. So I'll just rerun the same command and you should be getting the security group. If you see here, this is a security group ID that we just created. Okay, so let's keep a note of it. So somewhere, or you can also go ahead and access it here by, I'll just refresh the page and you should be seeing a new Storage Labs that was just created. Okay, so that should be good. Now let's go ahead and see what we have next. We need to add an inbound SSH rules. Basically, anyone should be able to access this, but if you want to make it fine-grained, give the specific IPs of the users who are going to access this EC2 instances. So I'm going to use this, and I need to authorize Storage Labs, and I also need to launch EC2 instance in US East 1A and also US East 1B. So first let's add this inbound rule. So let me just copy this one quickly. sorry, I'll just have to copy and go to the console. I'll just paste the command that I just copied and I'll hit enter. And you should be seeing that port added, right? So if you go to the security group and if you open this group, you will have an inbound rule with source port range is 22 and source is this, right? So that should be good. Now let me clear the screen for you. And let's just go and get the EC2 instance launched in US East 1A. But before that, if you see here, I have something called as AMI ID. AMI ID is nothing but your image ID specific to that particular AZ. So how to get that? Let's go to instances, okay? Or you can also go to AMIs and grab it, so no worries. Ignore these two servers. I just had something running, so I just deleted it. But if you go to Ubuntu, okay, so let's just select Amazon Linux itself for this example. Let's just go to Amazon Linux, just confirm changes. And if you see here, this is the AMI ID, right? So you will see this. So we just have to copy this one, and I think I've already provided the same ID here, but it ends with BA. And let's just copy this. You need to have this, in a particular region and then use it. So I'm gonna select this one because this is specific to the region. So you don't have to change it every time. So just copy this one and keep it somewhere. So before that, let's just copy this command and let's modify this. Let's open our favorite editor. So let's give it a moment. It's taking some time. Let's open new file. I'll just say text file. I'll paste this. And I need to replace the image ID. So let me go to the console here. Let me just copy this one. Let me go to VS Code and I'll change this. And also remember, you will have to change the security group ID as well. So let's go to console. Let's grab the security group. Let's go to EC2. Let's go to security group. And here I need to get the security group of this one. So let me just open this. I'll just copy this security group ID and I'll paste it here. Sorry, I'll just have to replace this security group. So in your case, you should be doing the same for your region's AMI ID. So remember, the AMI IDs will change, so make a note of that. So I'll just paste this. And if you see here, I've given US East 1A because I'm in North Virginia region and that's getting created. So let's go back. Let's go back to the instances. And if I refresh it, and if you see new EC2 instances, that is just getting initialized, right? So let's do the same thing for another region as well. So let me just, I think I will just have to make this 1B rather than 1A, right? So AMI ID, everything remains constant. So let me just make this 1B and that should be good. So let me just copy this, go to the console. Let me just, come out of this loop. I'll clear the screen. I'll just paste the command again and I'll hit enter and you should be seeing one more EC2 instance that is getting created. So let's go ahead and refresh it. Yeah, if you see here, there are two instances that are up and running. So let's just say server A for the server that is present in 1A. I'll just name it as server A. Okay, let's just name that and I'll name this as server B for the server that is running in US East 1B. Okay, so these are the two different servers that we have. Okay, this looks good. Now still here we have completed. Now we will have two instances buddies in the different availability zone ready to share files like they're best friends ever. Now let's go ahead and create the EFS. So let's go ahead and do that. But before that, in order for you to mount this EFS and to make sure that EC2 instances and EFS play nicely, you need to add one more port called 2049. That is your NFS port. You need to add that. So let's just do that before going with the other one. So let me just copy this one. So let's just copy this. We need to replace the security group ID and that's all. Let me just go here. Let me just paste this command here. Let's copy the security group ID from here and let's just replace that and here as well. Okay, so let me just copy the new command and I'll go to console. Let me come out of this loop, clear the screen, paste the same command that I just copied and I'll hit enter. And once you have that, port 2049 is also allowed. Why do we require 2049 is because we are going to interact with NFS file system. So 2049 is required. Next, let's go ahead and create the EFS file system. So let's go to console, and here let's search for EFS, and let's just open that in the new tab. Let's go ahead and create a file system. So I'll just say test, and I'll keep that as in the default VPC. I'll just click on customize. So instead of test, let's say scale or test file system or test FS. Okay, so that should be good. Make sure to select regional because it offers highest levels of availability zone and durability by storing file system data across multiple availability zone within the same AWS region. If you are working on a production, I'll recommend you to enable automatic backup, but I'll just ignore that for now. And I'll also, encryption data at rest is required. So let's just go with that. And throughput mode, I'll just go with whatever the default it is offering. So if I disable this, that's also good. So let's go with the default options. So let me click on next. And here I need to select mount targets where I only require US 1A and East 1A and B because I do not have the instances in other availability zone. I'll select this one, and this is the default VPC. This should be good. And let's click on next. I think we need to select that as well. Okay, security group, not the default. I'll change this to be storage labs here and also storage labs here. Okay, let's just remove the other things here because these are not required, and we are only available on 1A and 1B. But if you are available on all the availability zone, make sure to select the right subnets and the security groups. Okay, so if that looks good, let's click on next. And here let's leave this file system policy as default right now. Let's click on next, and you will see all the things that you've selected. And let's just click on create. Okay, let's give it a moment. It will take some time to create it. So if you see here, let's go inside. If you see here, this is the meter size, monitoring, tags, file system policy, access points, network, replication, all the things are in place for you. So let's wait for that to complete. And if I go inside again, I think it's created already. So this is the DNS name. We might have to use this later. Okay. Now let's go and see what is the next step that we need to do. So this is done. We created the file system. We also added NFS in the security group. That's also good. Now we need to log into the EC2 instances and install the NFS client to create a directory, and we'll also mount the file system. So let's just go to EC2 console. So I'll open EC2. Let's log in via browser. So firstly, let's log into server A. So I'll just click on connect, and I'll go with EC2 instance connect. If you want to download the key pair and do it, that's also fine. Let me also log into server B. So I'll just open server B connect, and I'll just click on connect. This is server A and this is server B. Okay. So let me just copy the commands that are already there in the document. Okay, so let me just copy this one. Firstly, we are going to install NFS utils. So I'll just paste that command here, and it is installing because if you see here, nothing to do, it's already installed and we are good to go. So let's also make sure to run the same commands in both the servers at the same time. Okay, so this is done. Next, we will create a mount point. To create that, we are going to create a directory called EFS mount point. So let's just create that one. Let me copy this. Okay, just paste this. Okay, I'll also run the same thing on the other machine as well. Okay, so that looks good. Let me do ls, and if you see, this point is there, and I'll also do the same thing here, and you see another point is there. Okay, so that's look good. And we also need to mount the EFS, and to mount it, this is the command sudo mount -t NFS because that is a utilities that we are using -o, and NFS server, R size, read size, write size, hard timeout, rtrans, all these things are there, and we'll have to replace this EFS DNS with your DNS. If you see here, your EFS east 1, and we are mounting that to EFS mount point that we just created. So let me just copy this one. We need to make certain changes here. So let's go to VS Code. Let's paste this one, and we need to grab our EFS files DNS and paste it here. Let's go to EFS, and if you go to DNS name, just copy this, and you can replace this and paste this command. Let's just copy this one. Let's go to EC2 instances. Okay, let me clear the screen for you first, then paste this command and hit enter. If you see, that is mounted now. Okay, let's do the same thing on the other machine. Let me clear the screen, and I'll paste the same command and I'll hit enter. Okay, that's also done. So we mounted the same EFS for the 2 other EC2 instances present in different availability zones. Now let's do one thing. So let's cd into EFS. I think that's the name of the mount point that we created. And if I click on ls-lrt, you see there are 0 files. So what we'll do is let's create some files. Let's say touch and file1.txt, and let's create file2.txt. Let's also create file3.txt. I'll hit enter. Okay, so it says, okay, so I'll have to give sudo permission because we are not the root user. So I'll just say sudo. If you see here, it's done. Let's inside the directory, and if you see here, we have file1, file2, and file3. Okay, we created this in the instance that is this 651. If you go back, 651 is this one, server A, right? And we are not actually checking in server B, which is the instance ID ends with 44, right? If you see here, it ends with 44, server B. Now let's go inside server B, and here let me go inside that EFS mount point that we just created, and I'll hit enter. If you see that we did not execute any touch commands here, so if I execute ls-lrt, surprisingly we will see all the files that we created inside this EC2 instance are also available on the other instance. Basically, that serves our purpose, right? So that was the exact requirement that the customer was asking us. Their infrastructure demands high availability, seamless scalability, and performance along with secure data. We will see how to secure the data, but this should be available within, and it should be accessible by multiple EC2 instances. So that serves the first intention. Now let's go with it is highly available because we are deploying it in multiple availability zone. It is scalable as well. You know how the name itself says Elastic File System. It is scalable, and top tier performance. It is known for the performance, and the only thing that is left is secure data transmission between the servers. So how do we achieve this? Let's scroll down. If you see here, these are all the things that we did. Now the mount that EFS we created, it's already available on both instance like a pro. And if you create a file inside EC2 instance, that is also present in instance B. Now to secure, as per the requirement, to secure the data, we can enable encryption also. So once you encrypt, so let's if you're using this EFS mount, right, you cannot do any other activity. For example, let me go and unmount it. So if I unmount it, we will not be able to do it. If you see here, device is busy. So what we need to do, we need to come out of that cd ... And now we are not utilizing that. Let's also do that same in the other directory or other EC2 instance. Now what we'll do, we will unmount this one. Okay, so let's unmount the EFS from both the instances. Now what we will do, we will enable the policy, file system policy, and file system policy will make sure so it enforces the encryption in transit, and it ensures that all connection to this EFS are secured. So in order for that to happen, you will go to your EFS. Let's go to file system policy, click on edit. And here, if you see the last one, enforce in-transit policy for all clients. So basically it will make sure that the in-transit, when the data is in motion, all the data are encrypted. So if I save it, so that should be good. If you see here, now the policy is in place. Before we did not have anything here. Okay, now let's go ahead and mount it. So the command to mount is this one. So let me just copy this again. And I'll go to first instance and I'll paste it and I hit enter. And if you see here, it says failed to resolve the server, name or service not known. The reason is simple, because the NFS file system will not support your transmission at or encryption in transit. So the secret sauce here is using the Amazon EFS utility, which supports the TLS encryption required by our new policy. As I told you, NFS mount will not work because the NFS will not have in-transit policy. But by policy, we have already enabled in-transit encryption. So now what we need to go with the EFS utilities, where this will already the transmission or in-transit encryption will support in the EFS utility. So let me clear the screen on both the server. So sorry, I just have to type in clear. Now let's install EFS utility. The command to install is sudo yum install -y Amazon EFS utilities. Let me do that on both of the instances. And this is installed on the first instance. So let's try to mount that now. Okay, so let me just copy that and I'll paste it. Unknown server error. So it says unknown server error. So sudo mount EFS TLS. Okay, so basically I did not even provide the server, right? So let's just copy this server and paste it. So let me provide it. Let's just copy this one. Okay. And I need to paste it here. Now let's try to mount it. Okay, let me clear the screen. Try to mount it. Yeah, if you see here, we were able to mount it. But if you had to do that, let's go with the same command, this one. Let's try to do that. Okay, on here, let me clear the screen. Before mounting with the EFS utility, let me show you with this one. If you see here, it says access denied, because that, as I told you, in transit data encryption is not supported while using NFS file server. So that's what I wanted to demonstrate. Now let's copy the same command here and mount with the EFS. EFS should work. So let me clear the screen. Now if I paste it and I hit enter, you should be able to see that. Now let's just check that. Okay, cd into EFS. And here if I say ls-lrt, you should be seeing the same three files, right? Let's also do that here. cd inside EFS mount, and here if I say ls-lrt, you should be seeing all the three files that we just created, right? So this also serves the other purpose, which is to have the data transmission which is secure, right? So this enable encryption or all the commands that we have here is present here. You can check this documentation or the blog. Basically, for you to sum up, the outcome is your team can now access the same file across different availability zone with practically zero latency, and the storage scales as your business grows like magic, and the data is securely transferred in transit encryption. So you're ticking all your boxes so for the security compliance. So with this, with a high availability, fault tolerant and effortless collaboration, your production system is now unstoppable. So this project shows how AWS EFS provides a scalable, secure, and highly available storage solution that's perfectly available for your business needs and seamless file sharing across the collaboration. Thanks Sumit for recommending this, because I think this question was asked in his interview and he was able to answer that. And he was not able to answer because of this one. Only question was how to secure the data transmission between the server. That was not answered. But I hope this video helps you. If you're liking the content, guys, please consider subscribing, share it with your friends, and I'll see you in the next one with a new demonstration. Thank you.